Trench work.
You're tuning in to Southern Girl Denise. Hey, you're tuning in to Southern Girl Denise. Hey, I'm the host of the Not So Christian in Me Show. I'm the host of the Not So Christian in Me Show. You're listening to the all-new Blessed Beats Radio, and you're tuned into the Not So Christian in Me Show, the show that is faith-based, edgy, and funny, where we let everything out on the table without shame and a no-judgment zone, so that we are able to help each other be better Christians. I'm your host, Southern Girl Denise.
And I'm your co-host, Kyra Harris.
And I'm your co-host, OPJ Elba.
What's up, you guys? You guys are tuned into the Not So Christian and Me Show. I'm your host, Southern Girl Denise, and today we have a very, very special guest. I was a guest on her show yesterday, but today she's a guest on our show today. The one and only Miss Tiffany Scales, better known as the Word Mortician, is in the building. What's going on, Tiffany?
Hey.
I was getting ready to say, don't tell me your volume was messing up again.
Can you hear me?
I can hear you good. I can hear you really good.
Perfect. I mean, the snow cone.
Oh, okay. No problem. Well, thank you so much for being our guest today. Now, before we get started, we always play a game with our guests. And today's game is called Two Truth and a Lie. You will tell us two truth and one lie, and we will have to guess which one is the lie. So go for it.
I'm married. I've been working in the community for 25 years, and I've been writing for 30 years.
Wow. Oh, that's a good one. I'm going to go with number 2. You've been working in the community 25 years. I don't think you're that old, so. Oh, that was true? Oh, wow. Yeah. 25. Okay, well, you look good for your age. I don't know how old you is, but I'm like, you look good. So which one is the lie?
I'm not married. I'm single.
Oh, okay. Cool. All right. So next up, we have our blessing segment. We always ask our guests to tell us at least one blessing of the week. So what would be your one blessing of the week?
Surround yourself with love and people who accept and acknowledge your greatness.
I love that. And I think you always have those people around you all the time.
Oh my God. Every day.
You're the kind of person that you're blessed with awesome people around you. So that's a great blessing. And speaking of you, my blessing of the week is being a guest on Inspiration Sunday yesterday.
Oh my God, I had so much fun with you yesterday.
Yes, I did. I had a lot of fun too. Yes, so that was like the icebreaker for my week. That's got my week started, and you have a great platform over there, and it's a great way to get your Sunday started, and that can take you all the way to the rest of the week. You know, one of the part about your show that I thought that was similar to what I do. Well, not on my show, but I meditate often. And so when you was on the breathing exercise, I breathe in and I hold it for 4 seconds, but you kept counting. I'm like, wait a minute, I'm about to lose my breath. Because I normally do 1, 2, 3, 4, and then I let it out. But you kept going. I'm like, wait a minute, I can't keep up with Tiffany.
I try to inflate my lungs, because you never know what you're working with, so it's really important to make sure you can and then give it right.
Exactly. Well, speaking of blessings, today's blessing scripture comes from 2 Corinthians chapter 9, verses 8. It reads, and God is able to bless you abundantly so that in all things at all times, having all that you need, you will abound in every good work. So that's our blessing of the week on the Not So Christian Me Show. If you guys are interested, the ones who are tuning in, if you guys want to send a prayer request, please click on the link below and you guys can submit your prayer request. All right. So now that we got all our praises and stuff out of the way, let's talk about the Word Mortician, Miss Tiffany. Now tell us a little bit about yourself.
As far as the Word Mortician goes, I've been an extemporaneous speaker, otherwise known as a freestyle poet, for probably 18 years here in Houston. The first I freestyled was at TSU. I was attending an event called Poetry and Politics, and this student was talking about his disdain for Black women. And he was against dating Black women, and he was against Black women, period. And he denied their resilience and their amazing strength. And he pissed me off. And so I volunteered to go and do a poem, and I read him. And I was really grateful for his reception because, we maintained a friendship and a respect over years. But I couldn't sit in my seat and allow him to spew ignorance and let him go home with that same mentality. And so for a long time, it was always, socially justice based and, proving a point. And then when I got really comfortable, it was like, I can see you, let me show you. And I would just devote myself in a transparent and vulnerable way to show that it's necessary and possible to do so in any element. And now I get to just do it in every capacity, and I love it.
Yeah, because you all over the place doing your poetry and stuff like that. When did you realize that you had a gift? Because your poetry is different from any other poetry I've seen. It was very creative. So when did you feel that you had? When did you knew that you had a gift?
I've been writing since I was 5 years old. So I would say I've always had a passion for it, but I didn't realize how gifted I was until probably 2010. There's this amazing artist out here named Khalid the Future who had a venue downtown. And when I told him about my nonprofit and the ideas I had for eradicating needs, he let me have a feature at his show where people came and they brought toiletry donations for toiletries for families in exchange to see me feature. And I literally just stood in a room of all these people of all walks of life. And I was like, pick a number 1 through 10. And everybody in the room picked so many numbers, and they gave me all these words in their hearts. And I was able to convey a message that gave them a perspective that they were blind to. And being able to offer insight to people who only see their skewed views is a blessing in itself. But being able to, do it artistically, I can be in a room with people who only expect me to entertain them, and they'll snap and they'll clap and they'll stand on their feet. But the ones who came to receive a message, they leave full. And that's what I'm here for.
So when you was growing up, when you say you used to write and stuff at 5, did you ever think that it was going to take you this far?
Oh, no, I had no idea.
Yeah.
No idea. I just knew I had something to say.
Right. Well, you definitely always have something to say. Actually, well, before we get there, I want you to describe your spoken word.
Honestly, I have the ability to fill a room in the sense of filling the spaces in between people, but I can also feel their emptiness. And in the expression of my poetry, it's just a poetic expression of extemporaneous exchanges. I can convey all the words that you don't know how to speak. I can answer the questions you don't know how to ask. And it's different. Certain elements, people will call me different names. Some have called me a witch. Some have called me a gypsy. Some have called me an oracle. And I respect their perspective based on their credentials of their capacity. But for me, I'm just a vessel. I submit my gift to God, and He lets me give myself freely. And it's the way that is most effective because I can reach the blind, I can reach the deaf, the mute, and to be able to express emotions that they otherwise would never know how to convey is a blessing for me. So it's like a 2 birds, 1 stone thing. I get to help you, but I'm helping myself as well.
Right. And when I first saw you perform, I was at one of the Harold Trotters.
I love him. He's so brilliant.
Yeah. When I first saw you, I thought oracle too. I was thinking, in that aspect. And I was like, man, she's cold with these words. Like she's like very talented. And then I got a chance to see you again perform at the Improv. And I actually have a clip from that performance. And I was actually there too. So let's take a look at this clip here.
Okay.
She has a nonprofit, Toiletries for Women, that are helping so many women out here. She is also the host for 104.5. You are clapping right now. You are clapping right now. Put your hands together for the world. Petition.
unapologetically allowing my truth to be told, and they'll be exposed to the beauty of its expression, but the impression will leave with them for days to come. The excitement when I see someone who says, yeah, I've seen you. I remember, I heard you when you said this, and literally the words that I don't remember spitting, they kept.
You know, she always do this shit, and then when she leave it all high and shit.
She can sift through all the worries of your days and leave you feeling okay.
Hey, y'all.
Like you're
It's so nice to be here. So it's actually 102.5, amazing 102.5, your new good station. And almost 2 months ago, we celebrated Kanaya for her being a great woman. So I brought her heavy ass plaque. These are heavy, and we want to say that we appreciate you. We being the art guild, the poetry community, soul poetry, black women, white women, people with ears. We appreciate you. It became a ritual. I would sit in my favorite chair, place my fingers on the right keys, and let my lyrics flow. Up and down, side to side. At times, my fingers moved so swiftly, I forgot they were mine. Those were the moments I could release all my inhibitions and not worry about the judgments. But the counted steps preceded by hesitation led to mental constipation, forcing the realization and disappointment as my expectations weren't met. I grew impatient because you hadn't arrived yet. It was like being subjected to my future, initially exciting and devastating me, having to witness the seconds slowly passing. In the meantime, eye contact with you led me on fast-forwarded adventures to hospital rooms, elementary schools, games, plays, graduations. I just could not fathom how I'd make it to my destination. It wasn't that I was in denial, his gift to me. I simply failed to realize as I prayed for you, he was listening. I reckon doubts set in. I couldn't allow my heart to depend on desires of it because, well, it was too good to be true. Just as quick as I asked, he sent me you. Each step, 3 forward, 10 back, those to the side, those so far from my path, each one had purpose, and I honestly have no regrets. Hell, I used to say being loved by me felt too good to go without, so in spite of your fearless doubt, I would love you inside and out. Every moment, every individual who has burned a piece of my heart, every disaster I thought tore my world apart, all made this possible because had it not been for those moments, those anomalous adventures, I would never truly know how far, how deep love could go. Immeasurable is what I said. Immeasurable. Love is the religion I practice.
Wow, wow. Did you hear it? Were you able to hear it?
They've been inspired.
All right, I'm back. Tiffany, can you hear me? I can't hear you. I can't hear you. All right, well, for those of you guys who are just tuning in, that was Tiffany Scales, better known as the Word Mortician, and she was performing at the Improv, and I was actually at the Improv when she was performing. I don't know if you guys can see me, but I was like in the middle with the red top on. When I was looking at the video, I'm like, wait a minute, that's me right there. Because I remember being at that performance, and I remember how she just blew me away. And I think she's back on here now. It's Tiffany. Let's get her back on so she can tell us about her performance. Miss Tiffany, are you back? All right, can you hear me?
Which performance was that?
Okay, I remember this performance because you gave a trophy, or you gave something to Miss Kanai, and
that was my last performance of 2019. I haven't performed since that day.
Oh wow, okay, because I remember your the whole crew from Amazing 102 was there, and I was like, wow, they came deep for you, and that just showed a lot of support. They showed a lot of support by them being there. And I was like, okay, they really stand out their name being amazing because they actually came out there to support you. And I noticed that. And when I saw that, I'm like, okay, I definitely have to get with Tiffany. I'm gonna have to get with you because you're doing some great things. And tell us a little bit about that performance.
You know, I was so excited. I got to a place in October 2018 where I was like, God kept telling me, I got to stop calling it a performance. I'm not performing. I'm not reciting something I wrote over time and memorized. I'm just taking a deep breath and exhaling whatever comes. Mm-hmm. And so by the time April came around, I was like, I started to feel like my gifts were not valued or appreciated. And it wasn't like an ego thing. It was more so you don't even know the value of this gift. And I didn't want to let my words or God's words fall on deaf ears continuously, because it was like I wasn't delivering my gift effectively. And so that performance was really, really important to me. It was necessary because, you know, I wrote that poem. So basically that particular piece was a mixture of a poem I wrote when I was 17, 18 years old, and then whatever came to my heart and off the surface at the end of it. But it was so relevant because a lot of people just are so quick to hesitate. They don't trust their instincts. They don't trust the God in them, their discernment. And so often we hesitate to articulate, and we deviate from the whole point of that experience. And so I really enjoyed being on that mic. I really did. I had fun with those artists.
I can definitely tell too about the performance. Can you pull your visor down just a little bit, because it's still blocking your face?
It's blocking my face. How about this?
It's a little bit better. It's still that's a little bit better. But that's perfect. I ain't gonna say perfect, but that's better than what it was at first.
I bet.
So to go back to what we were talking about your poetry, you said that you wrote something when you were 17 years old. Do you keep all of those poets? I mean, all of the things that you wrote when you was a teenager and when you was younger than that, do you keep all of that stuff and just go back in?
I did. I lost everything I'd written with like a pen or a pencil after Harvey. And so after Hurricane Harvey, I was like, man, like, what do I do with the things I have in my head? And so I went to this studio in second ward, called Oracle Studios with Jason Williams. And I recorded over 100 tracks in less than 6 sessions. And I have put half of those on like music streaming sites, on iTunes, on Spotify, YouTube, and like Tidal and stuff, because I wanted my gift to be accessible to people. You know, it's really no value if it's just hiding under my pillow in a journal like most people do. But I knew that if what I experienced would bring light or liberty to somebody, I needed to expose them to that. And so I was grateful to have the resources I had. Bernard James, he produced all the music on 2 of my albums. And just having the relationships I have has been such a blessing, because like even today I was saying how I can listen to stuff I recorded in 2018 and it's relevant right now. Like I have this one track I say, you know, Mama said there'd be days like this where I couldn't quite describe how it was to sit here at my desk blank faced. And it's like, you know, we're facing so much adversity right now. We're facing so much traumatic trauma. Like, and it's difficult to even find the words to describe what this feels like, but we can look at each other. We can, you know, do the head nod. We can acknowledge that we too are fighting this battle in some capacity. And it's so necessary to take those deep breaths, to slowly exhale, to remember that God is sovereign even in these moments, because it's hard as a human to see it, but as a spirit, you can't deny that he's here.
Right. That's so true. That's powerful. Let's talk about radio. So how did you end up at Amazing?
Oh my God. Okay. So check this out. There's this guy, his name is Oliver Stevenson. And for the past 20 years, he has been doing the Jingle Bell Jam. It used to be at Texas Southern, which is my alma mater. And now they do it at St. John's Downtown, which is my church. And so in 2018, he had invited me to be a performer at his Jingle Bell Jam. And they had a fundraiser in November, right before Christmas. And the previous director of the radio station, Amazing 102.5, just so happened to be present. And she heard me, you know, do a poem for the children, do a poem for the leaders of the event, and then do a poem for one of the pastor's wives. And when I was like, you know, well, I got to go, y'all have another event to go to. I was headed to an event for Kevin Anderson. And so the lady from the radio station, she ran down the stairs and she was just like, oh, no, wait, you're special. She was like, I want to talk to you about being on the radio. And I'm like, man, that would be a dream come true. You know, my degree from TSU is in entertainment recording management, and I love being in the studio. I'm like T Diddy. I make anybody sound great. But she was like, you know, I really feel like you should be on like the morning show, the daytime show, something. And I'm like, well, I have a full-time job and I like my insurance. I need my stability. And so, you know, I respectfully declined. And she hit me up like a month later and she was like, well, we have a Sunday show. I'm like, well, I'm at church on Sunday, so I guess I could do it. And I've been doing that since January 2019. And I'll tell you what, Denise, it's been such a blessing. Like I love being on the radio. I love that even though I'm not performing, I can still share my gifts. But to have the opportunity to sit before great people like you and Kimberly, and hear the passion and compassion y'all possess for our community, and the things that y'all are doing for artists and just, you know, regular everyday people who want to know who God is, what God does, and how we can completely divulge ourselves to him. Like, I love that. And I'm honored. You know, I'm a volunteer radio personality, but it's like there's no money to compensate what I get from that experience.
Yeah. It's not no amount of money that can like you say, it's no amount of money that can meet, you know. I get what you're saying. Yeah, that's so true. That's so true. So, have you ever got offered a position and it didn't meet your character?
Yes, I actually I had a run-in with my current employer years ago, 5 years ago, and when something didn't happen that I thought was necessary, I resigned, and I accepted a position at a company that's local, who I thought was, you know, rendering service to the community in a capacity that was profit but still, you know, productive. And I quickly learned that they were being dishonest and expected me to, you know, falsify documents and sign receipts. And I'm like, you know, I made a mistake coming here. I have integrity. And I actually got fired. It was my first time getting fired, and I'm like, you know, wow, that plummeted me into an experience I was not prepared for, but spiritually I was prepared for. And not relinquishing my beliefs and my values is what keeps my integrity about me, and it's something I respect. If no one else knows about it, I respect myself for that.
That's right, and I talked about that on your show about standing for what's right. When you know it's wrong, don't stand for it. Stand for what's right. So I'm glad that you took a stand and didn't take that position. So that's awesome. For those of you guys who are just tuning in, we're talking to Miss Tiffany, the word mortician from Amazing 102.5. If you guys want to send us a message, please do so at this time. We actually have a message. We have some questions from Kimberly, my producer. Let's see. Let me see if you can see. Can you see that on your screen?
I cannot.
Okay, well, I'll read it to you. She says, what has been your biggest struggles being on the radio? I hear some air in the background.
You know, I think my biggest struggle on the radio was worrying about who was listening. And my quickest resolve to that was going live and saving the videos, because I knew if you weren't up at that moment, you could still catch up at another time. And so every quote unquote struggle, thanks to my job and my experiences, I've learned the verbiage of empowerment and you know, positively affirming something. And so I don't see them as problems or struggles. I see them as opportunities. And so if there's a gap filled, I stand in that gap. And if there's a way that I can, you know, seek assistance from someone else, then I empower them in their strengths to help me do more. And so there's been, you know, hiccups, but never anything to hinder the point, purpose.
And I think a lot of times we take a lot of we put a lot of our energy in what other people are thinking and how they feel about us, you know, how they look at us in certain ways. And so they're kind of like, you know, hinders us sometimes because we focus so much on that instead of just working on ourselves and being the best that we can be instead of trying to satisfy other people. I have another question from Kim. She says, as a woman of color, do you feel like your voice is being heard when pitching new ideas? Good question, Kim.
It depends on the room I'm in, Kim. Work, no. At work, I feel like my ideas are only received if I'm in the room with two people and then they project them as their own ideas. And in that sense, it's like, you know, emotional intelligence is required. And if the idea is good and it's necessary, then I can't worry about who gets credit for that. It's just, is it going to be implemented? When it comes to creativity, I actually just recently launched an idea to people that I just thought would be amazing to help it, you know, come to fruition, and they love the idea. And to feel like my quote unquote little idea was something so big to actually induce action, that makes me feel so grateful. Like, you know, maybe I'm onto something and we can be a better group of people, regardless of our backgrounds and how we, maneuver through this life.
Now, have you gave somebody an idea and they took the idea and ran with it?
Plenty of times. And in those instances, a lot of people would say, well, imitation is the highest form of flattery. But in all honesty, all the ideas I have, I would just tell my best friend, like, I know I have a lot of ideas, but I can't do them all. And she's like, well, maybe you should just give them to people. And I totally agree, because I might not have the wherewithal to produce the idea, but the fact that it came to surface means that there is a possibility for it to happen. And if you catch it, if I can tell you, this should happen, and you can see the way to get that done, get it done. Because I'm only one person in this world, and I can't do everything, but I'll give everything I have to get it done.
Exactly. Okay, the next question Kim has, what's one thing you hope makes an impact on the next generation?
My vulnerability. Being a person in the community, being able, I was just saying earlier today, like I went to the march a couple weeks ago, and there were men across the crowds that saluted me. And it was just a humbling honor to know that I was recognized through a mask on my face, but even more so the work that I have done in the community, that they see me, standing in those trenches when it's difficult to stand on your feet. And so a lot of times we don't always give credit to the relevance of those relationships. But I would say, if it wasn't for the blessing that God has given me to convey a message between all walks of life, regardless of people, whether they're, homeless or home full or got a home, but they never in it. And everybody in between, like, we all have something we can bring to the table, and being diligent in that, and being honest and humbled by that, I feel is so necessary.
Yes, it is. It is. Now, I know that you said that you do a lot in the community. Tell us a little bit about your organization called the Arts Advocate.
Oh, that's one of my babies. So in 2008, I caught wind of school budgeting here in Houston changing, and them removing music from the schools. And I completely was heartbroken by the detriment that it would wreak on not providing a pool of relief to youth. And so I started having events. This amazing artist here called Shawn Johnson. She's an author and a painter as well. And
I know Shawn.
Yeah, I love her.
Yes, she was on my show. She was a guest.
We would have events at this venue called Secret Word. So Secret Word was a venue that was created by one of the ladies from the library at TSU. I mean, like, I was only at the university doing poetry from 2002 to 2006, and then she retired, and she got us a venue where we had poetry every day of the week. And so every month we would have a family day where, people would bring their kids, and we would paint with them, we would dance with them, we would do poetry with them. We'd give them the mic and give them a voice. And what was so empowering was knowing that, parents may have a difficult time seeing their little people as people, but those little people have voices, they have perspectives, they have experiences from different degree, and allowing them, word gives them a power that no one can take from them. And that was probably one of my favorite contributions to the community.
Yeah, I'm so glad that you're doing that for the youth, because in Aldine they took out art in elementary, and so when they took that away, I felt heartbroken, because those kids need a way to vent through art, a way to get away from the everyday classroom, to get away and draw their emotions, how they're feeling. I just feel like it's just a bad thing that they just took it away for the kids, because they really need that.
Back in October, we had the pleasure of going to Aldine Middle School. I attended that school with Joshua Caskins, who is a breathtaking artist. He's a visual artist, and he's a poet. He actually has a show tonight I'm going to.
Okay.
But he being present at this, this middle school where these children are in homes that are completely impoverished, and him bringing his paintings that were literally starting at $100,000, and him showing these little black and brown babies like, hey, it started blank too. Put my soul into it, and empowering them. It was so beautiful, because they don't have a lot of male figures at these schools or in their household. And there's an artist here, Words from Rasta, who is an advocate
I know her too.
for youth suicide prevention, and just
Mhm.
she's so amazing, so passionate, and
Yeah, she is.
she was the youngest artist, but for her to come and admit like, hey, I've been there, I've been in dark places, but artists like Ebony Rose and artists like the Word Magician helped her to find her faith, which I mean
It's so
that's something
beautiful.
ain't nobody take from you. As soon as you find that,
Right.
you can never.
Nobody can take that from you. That's so true.
We were honored to go and work with these kids, but like we could not deny the beauty of their vulnerability. Like these children talked about their lives, their experiences, their molestation, their rape, their abuse, their
Mhm.
unhealthy relationships with their families and their mates, and even the self-harm they were causing. And
Yeah.
for human, I had a hard time leaving those babies because I'm like, yo, what
Mhm.
am I gonna do to protect them, to save them? But in all honesty, it's the hardest thing to accept that you can't change everything.
You can't. You can try,
Yeah,
but you can't do it all the time. The most that you can do is just at least try and put your best foot forward and know that you gave it your all.
exactly.
You know. Yeah. So where do you see yourself in the next 5 years?
Lord, I'll be 40.
Oh, wow, big four. Oh.
Yeah. So I would say within 4 years, I want to see the longevity and sustenance of my organizations. I have the Arts Advocate to make sure that the cultivation and culmination of creativity is advocated for all of us. I have
Yes.
Toilet Families because I want to make sure that dignity is restored or established for families that may not be able to afford the luxury, and even those of us who can afford it, they're kind of depleted on the shelves right now. And so in any aspect, when we face adversity or some type of disaster, I want to make sure that no one has a need that is unmet. And I know that with the process, like the whole goal for me was, if I die before it finishes, I just need it to be seen. Like I need people to understand the vision, to understand that like this has nothing to do with the person, but for the people. You shouldn't need soap. You shouldn't need tampons. You should not need diapers to sustain yourself or your babies, and to have those resources to be able to, feel presentable and
Right.
respectable. That as a person. And I don't want your babies to ever worry about choosing between light bills and toiletries. And so in the
Absolutely.
next 4 years, I say like the world needs to know about what I'm doing because I'm only one person. I need some help.
Absolutely. So, what are you currently working on?
Currently, I'm working on balancing everything out. The last 5 years, I've been doing Mary as Tiffany. I recently got my LLC, so yay. And with that, I am a couples and individual coach, and I advocate for intimacy, communication, and emotion translation because a lot of times couples don't have those resources. You got people that come from broken homes trying to build one, and they don't know what tools are needed. And a lot of times so much energy is exerted in pouring into the belief of what's necessary, and they forget to be present. And I want to do what I can to help. But currently I'm working on getting websites in order, releasing another album for Wormatician, and making sure that people have access to the resources at hand. I recently filed for a grant to get an app for the Arts Advocate, and that was just because there are people who are, accustomed to being at the poetry shows every week
Mhm.
to get that mental release, to get that vibe, to get that energy, and they haven't had it since March. And I know what losing art, what walking away from art when I retired
Mhm.
my gifts. And so I'm like, whatever I can do to help you heal, whatever I can do to help you feel, I'm in.
Amen. So, what advice can you give someone who's trying to get to the level that you're at now?
Count to three, take a deep breath in, and slowly exhale. Engage in mirror time,
Mhm.
acknowledge your reflection, reflect on the things you've experienced, acknowledge that there were no mistakes, take accountability for the things you did or did not do to get here, and don't harp on how long it took you to get to this realization. As soon as you acknowledge that you're here and you want to go there, get there.
All right. How can we find you on social media?
WRDMTCN. You can look me up on Facebook or Instagram or YouTube. And my phone number is 832-683-6470. If you need somebody to pray with you, to love on you, I'll give you what I got.
All right. I just tag your information at the bottom. I know you can't see it on your end, but it's at the bottom. Your IG information, Inspiration Sundays, to follow you on Instagram, and then Facebook, Tiffany Nicole Scales, the word Matician on Facebook. All right. Now, before we let you go, we have some more comments here. We have, let me take this off. Okay. So we have Miss Kim. She had, well, we already asked that question. Miss Kim had asked, how can we find you on social media? And then we had a comment from Miss Natasha Smith. She said, yes, beautiful. Thank you so much, Miss Natasha, for tuning in. Okay, now before we go, we have one more segment. And you didn't know about this segment. I always have to do like a bonus part of the show at the very end. So you have to fill in the blank. So I'm gonna read a sentence and you have to fill in the blank.
Okay.
I was going to do blank, but thank God I'm a Christian. I was going to do blank, but thank God I'm a Christian.
I was going to retaliate, but thank God I'm a Christian.
So who you going to retaliate on? I know. None of my business. Too much information, huh? I'm gonna leave it. I'm gonna leave it at that, Tiffany. I'm not about to go into details on that one. Well, there you guys have it. Thank God she's a Christian. Thank you so much, Tiffany, for being our special guest. We pray that God continue to bless you in everything you set your mind to do.
Thank you so much. And likewise to you and Kimberly and everybody involved with your show.
Thank you so much. And, you have all of our support here at the Not So Christian and Me show. Now, before we go, do you have any final thoughts or shout outs?
I'm just really grateful for the invitation to be on this show. I've seen what y'all have done in the past year and a half, how much respect you have gained in our community and the resources you provide to artists. And I really appreciate me, what I'm doing, and welcome me to, be on your platform. And thank you for coming to mine.
Thank you so much. That was so sweet. I'm gonna have to use that little bite at the end for promo purposes. Well, thank everybody for tuning in today. If you guys would like to be a guest on the Not So Christian and Me show, you guys can look us up on Facebook or Instagram, the Not So Christian and Me show. If you guys want to be a sponsor, give us some clothes, give us some money, whatever you guys want to bless us with. We have open arms over here at the Not So Christian and Me show. So please bring the love our way, because we love you. You love us. Hey, we love each other. Until next time. I'm sorry. What did you say?
Cash App.
Oh, my Cash App. Girl, thank you. I'm gonna have to start adding that on there at the end. You can Cash App us. I need to type that the next time. I'm gonna have it stroll at the bottom. But you can gift us with a monetary donation on Cash App, $TNTN. I don't have it wrote down. IMS. There we go. Cash App. It's the initial. And I'm gonna put it at the bottom. I'm about to put it right here. That way you guys have it.
So we can show you some love.
Okay, yes. So it's $TNSIM. There we go. I'm about to put it at the bottom. Please, please, please. Help us a start. Help us start. All right. Until next time, remember that no matter whatever you're going through, God will see you through. Stay blessed up. Bye.
Bye.